Have you ever wondered why the abundance of churches on practically every street corner worldwide? Well, there's a false doctrine for every ear and a sucker for every for-profit false doctrine. That's why. Now, out of all these denominations, somebody's got to be right and somebody's got to be wrong. That's where the tool of discernment is paramount to a Bible-believing Christian. Now, I'm a mere man that's fallible, sharing with you my interpretation of Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 1 through 8. Let's start here in verses 1 and 2. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Now Jeremiah is given a tremendous word from God here, to not conform to the ways of the lawless. The Jews are beginning to live among the Chaldeans here in their captivity. The Chaldeans lived in the southern part of Babylon. Biblically speaking of the topography upon Jeremiah's writing here, Mesopotamia. Today's the southern part of Iraq. Now Jeremiah's warning, be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. People today are still dismayed, regulating their lives by the fictitious zodiac. Why do magazines and newspapers print the horoscope? They want to know the sign they were born under. The astrology today, the myth, the delusion that there is a sun simulator and the sky's fake. Some people are concussed and need to see a neurologist. Look at some of the charismatics on YouTube. It's so readily available on YouTube. You don't see it on the news. You may hear it at the break room at work, but there's some pretty good imaginations there on YouTube, but they need to see a neurologist. But what is promoted today was promoted in the days this text was penned. The Chaldeans are the heathen here. They worshiped the sun, the moon, and the stars. The Jews' focus was to be on God, not a God. Now, what is a God they're talking about here? Let's go with verses 3 and 4 now. For the customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with the hammers, that it move not. This is not the modern day Christmas tree. Most today twist and distort Scripture to be written to them and to entertain their conspiracies. Jeremiah's talking about idols here. They didn't have Amazon and outlet stores to go and buy their favorite posters of an athlete or a Ford Mustang off from the dealership lot, or all the albums of a favorite musician to appease one's ears in a man's man cave, along with pool tables and beer memorabilia hanging around everywhere. Not that kind of idol. They had to take an axe, fashion a tree into a post, and build their idol from that. So they would add color with gold and silver and probably some moss to indicate a head of hair, and some copper coins maybe for eyes, and they'd have no more than a scarecrow, but an idol to them. Verse 5, they are upright as a palm tree, but speak not, they must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. It's upright. You've seen a palm tree. It's a straight trunk. It's upright. It's stately. It's erect. It stands if it were going to speak to you. But it can't. Nor can it take a step forward. It can't move. A modern day version of this would be like the Statue of Liberty or the Ark of Baal in Washington. Verse 6. Forasmuch as there is none like unto thee, O Lord, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. Verse 7. Who would not fear thee, O King of nations? For to thee doth it appertain, forasmuch as among all the wise men of the nations, and in all their kingdoms, there is none like unto thee. But they all together brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. Now, this is Jeremiah writing way back then in the Old Testament. But they are all together beast-like and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. In the King James, they use the word stock. And in the Strong's Concordance, stock means timber, a wooden block, or a log. This is Jeremiah again, trying to point him in the right direction. But they are altogether beast-like and foolish. The wooden block is a doctrine of vanities. Now, if you're bowing down on your knees in front of a Christmas tree and worship it, well, Jeremiah's warning could be relevant to you. Everyone I know tosses theirs to the curb after the day of materialism's over. So in my opinion, Jeremiah 10 refers not to a modern day idol of a Christmas tree that has boxes of debt under it, but the Christmas tree has its own set of problems than to compare it to the false gods of old. Till next time.